So I've just fitted the Denali lights, running lights, to my bike with the Hex EzCAN controller, because the bike's under guarantee. You can't cut into the CAN bus system. You won't want to cut into the CAN bus system anyway. It's called EzCAN, and in some ways it's easy, but in many ways it isn't. So this is the effects of it. If I turn on now, it's very bright. There are a lot of things you can do with it that are not allowed in this country, like strobing, but if I give you an example, if I turn the hazard warnings on, it's configured to flash opposite the hazard warnings. If I turn the indicators on, the relevant light switches off to allow you to see the indicators, and then fires on again, left hand side, and then fires on again. Quite clever that, isn't it? And there's lots of strobing you can do, none of which I believe is allowed in this country. All sorts of things you can do with it. So the EzCAN is quite an amazing piece of equipment. So now I'm going to fit the whole system to my friend Mike's bike and talk you through it. So this is a Hex EzCAN, the packet it comes in, made in Cape Town in South Africa. I have their GS911 diagnostic system. It's very good. Their standard of electronics is amazing. So it's just a packet. Let's have a look at what's inside. So this is what is in the EzCAN package when you open it. You've got 8 tails, 4 with 3 wires, 4 with 2 wires. The EzCAN unit itself, which is like a spaghetti junction, but we'll come to that with the connectors. You have to configure this with a laptop and some cable ties. You think that's an instruction book there. No, it isn't. It's just a bit of advertising showing what you've bought. All the instructions are on the EzCAN website. 2 Denali running lights are being added, the DR1s, the light pods. So these come from Nippy Norman's, the same as the EzCAN does. You of course need the brackets for the Denali lights for your particular model. We're doing the 1200 RT water cooled, and these are the brackets. They're quite expensive, but you cannot do without them for the RT. So this is Mike's 1200 RT water cooled. Taken the seats off, unplugged the heated seats. We now have to start taking panels off to be able to fit the Denali lights first. Start from the Denali lights and work backwards. The first thing to remove is just the side panels on their own, the ones with the motive on. There's 2 screws involved here. You've got to be meticulous with the screws. You're going to end up with a whole pile. And the worst thing is when you finish putting the bike together, you've got a couple of screws left. That is so easy to do. So let's start with this one. There are 2 screws under here. You're going to have a jump to see them. One there and one there. So with the screws undone, there are 2 plugs and a piece of Velcro. So you've got to take it off quite carefully. You feel you're going to rip it. So you've got to be quite firm. And to release, there's one plug, there's the other one, and up it comes. In fact, Mike's Velcro isn't on this model, so in some ways that was a little bit easier. 2 bolts we're looking for to be able to put on the bracket for the lights are actually really hard to find. It's behind the air intake. This is the air intake. You need TX30 spanner, wrench, and you've got to go in and take them right out. I don't know whether you'll see this on the GoPro. First time I did this on my bike, it took so much finding because they're in total darkness. So that's them undone, but you can't get them. You need a magnetic, which I've got somewhere. Let me have a look. A magnetic reacher thing, and this is the only way to be able to get them. And they come right out, so they're clearly not stainless steel. This one is particularly difficult. So if you didn't have this magnetic reacher, how would you get them out? Because if you drop them, you'd be in quite bad trouble. So now you're back to Allen keys. So a little bit of Loctite, put the first one in. There are torque settings for it if you so want. A bit of Loctite on the next one. And then just compare it to the drawing, and it's exactly right. So that's the first one done. And now it's very hard to show you. This is the left hand bracket. You've got to juggle around with it to try and get it to fit in. I find just practice first, and it goes like that. Then take the screws with a little bit of Loctite on them, slide it in there first, and hope you can find the hole. Just tighten it up quite a way, but don't lock it in, because you've got the other side to line up, and that's harder to get. You can only do it bit by bit because this Allen key catches, so that's a little bit tight. So that's the one bolt in, not locked up. Now you've got to get the one that's off at an angle. So again, the ball end of this type of Allen key is essential for you to be able to do that. I'm sure you've got something. So let's try this one. So with this one, I've got to put it on the end of the Allen key. Petrified I'm going to drop it. It's right inside there. You'll never see it on the GoPro, but it's right inside there. Please don't drop. Yep, it's gone in, but will it line up with the hole? Just keep tightening, see if it tightens, and it has. That's remarkable. And come back to the one in the long tube. You can't work with Torx unless you've got a full kit. So these are only lights. Tightened a little bit of Loctite, and that is solid now. So now let's fit the Denali lights. DR1, what's in the box? You have no instructions at all. Empty box, lovely packing. Take out the lights. A 2-foot cable. Take off the black cover and the nylon bolt. Packing from under there. So this is the easy bit at last. You of course hang them upside down on the RT. So let's just put them in position. One washer and the nylon bolt. Now you need a 13mm spanner bolt at the top, 13mm underneath. You put it on a nylock bolt, as we said, so you've got a little bit of tension about doing it up, but once it's on it will stay there. I'm not going to lock them, of course, into position. I'm just going to take all the slack out of it. And it will tilt either way. That's fine for now. Then a little black cover, when it's finally tightened, so I don't lose it now, the little black cover fits neatly over the top, so the whole thing looks really good. So it's multi-adjustable. The problem is, that's your cable, 2 foot. It doesn't go anywhere. Right, now we move to the hex can itself, the EzCAN, and we have to install this, and it looks difficult, but actually it isn't. We're looking for 2 sockets at this stage to connect into the camber system, this one and this one, just those 2. No cutting wires, nothing complicated, except for, compared to the GS, we're looking for the tire pressure monitor, and on the GS it's clearly here, but on the RT it's right under here. So by pushing the connector you can pull this off. That's what you're looking for, that's what you want. This is quite easy now. These 2 are identical. That's one you've just unplugged from the tire pressure monitor. This one with the green is the hex EzCAN. So that plugs in exactly the same way into the one that you've just taken out. And then the one that you unplug from there, just make sure you got your connectors the right way around. Connector there, connector there. Goes on there until it's clicked in. You've connected into the canvas. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? What you've got left now is the 4 terminals. So we're fitting 2 lights. You can also fit a horn, a GPS if you need it, but it's already on the BMWs, and a new rear light. So we're going to use these 2 of the cables, the blue and the red ones, as a circuit. And the first thing we've got to do is connect this to the battery. So this is quite easy on the RT compared to some of the other bikes. Take it through there to start with. It's got a big fuse on it, but there's room. I think the GS is a little bit harder. Here we've got more fairings covering things up, so some of our life is a little bit easier. So just tuck it away first, get it through there, make sure the cover stays on, and we've got to take that to the battery. To get to the battery, it's panel takeoff time. So here we go. I actually don't like taking panels off because it's easy taking them off. It's so much harder to find them all the screws and everything. Take them off again now. This is one thing. This screw's got quite a long shoulder on it. You've got 2 of them. If you don't notice that, you'll get yourself in a right mess because you'll be putting the wrong ones, because most of the bolts on the BMW are identical. This is one with a bigger shoulder because it's going through 2 panels. So beware of that first. Now we go underneath, taking the bottom section off first, and you've got one more bolt down here. All of them torx 25. It's worth getting one of these screwdrivers. Just makes life so much easier, these torx screwdrivers. I could do with a whole range of these, I think. and that's it. One here, normal screw. So now this is the other one with the big shoulder. The other one with the big shoulder because it's going through two panels. So two with big shoulders and one right in here. Take this cable off, just a retention, and there we have the battery. In all its glory. This is the socket for the GS911, the diagnostic tool, and when I took my panel off I haven't got one of them, so I've got to get in touch with Hex and say what there's something else in its place. So here we have the negative and here we have the extension to the positive, so you don't have to take the battery out. That's just a cover. You've got a terminal to take off there. Always negative off first. So let's just get the spanners and we'll get that off. Take that off there. So that's our 2 bolts. We want to connect the positive first, so we can bring the cabling down. So that's the battery connected. That's quite straightforward, just positive and negative to the battery terminals. That's a 2-minute job. Here's the problem. Your EzCAN by default has to be there. So ideally you would put it up there or here. Your cable for your light is 2 foot long. It's about 4.5 feet between the light and the EzCAN. Nobody mentions when you buy the Denali lights, or any lights I suppose, and the EzCAN, that you've got this massive gap with special connectors. You get terminals male and female to be able to join them with wire. That's a real shame when you've got a very professional plug and play kit and it doesn't work. Then I discovered afterwards that actually Denali make an extension for this very reason. They don't tell you about it. They're £13 each. How do you fit it without it? Very difficult. So you need 2 for each bike. Wonderful. They're 2 foot long. You've got a 4.5 foot length. Why on earth aren't they 3 foot long? So I'll show you the problem. We can connect into the lights. The lights have got a wonderful route through. We could take them down. We could take them down anywhere almost, through past this intake out here. We can plug in, which is a beautiful switching system there. We can take it up through here. So this is much better than the GS because that hasn't got all these panels. It seems such a serious thing because every RT, for instance, has this same problem. So you either make a cable up, but I prefer the professionally made cable with the connectors, but I've got to make up an extension for that 6 inches. So how do we do it? So you have a male connection and a female connection. That one comes with the hex kit. This comes with the Denali kit, and you've got to join them together. Now if we join those together, we have just enough room to create the extension with the correct plugs on them. It's a bit of a shame that you have to do this right at the end. Whether you have to do it on the GS, maybe not, but I expect so, because if you have lights at the front of your bike, you've definitely got more than 4 feet to get right into the tail unit. So here we go. We've got some soldering to do. The first thing I want to do is to put some ink shrink on so that I can shrink it down at the end. So one on there and a shorter one on here. You know when you're always going to buy one of those little vices, and every time you put it off, black to black.